Here in the Philippines, a few industries are bracing for more challenging times in the era of President Trump, chief among them the property sector. Here to tell us why is Julius Guevara. He's the head of research and consultancy at Colliers. Julius, good to have you on the show. Thanks for coming in. The issue is something a lot of economists have spoken to us about, which is that the current protectionist mood in the U.S. could really hurt the two pillars of the Philippine economy, that is the BPO industry as well as OFW remittances. Talk us through the implications for the property sector.
Okay, for the BPO industry, I think a lot of our BPO operators that have moved to the Philippines are a bit afraid of what's going to happen in the future, especially if the Trump administration starts implementing these protectionist policy. Although they are now taking a wait-and-see stance, both with the political situation here in the Philippines, locally, as well as what is going on in the U.S. They're just extending their due diligence process. Although if the demand is still quite strong with these operators, they're just taking a lot more time in making sure that the policies won't change overnight, and that they could still continue operating.
And that is because the vast majority of the appetite for real estate at the moment is being driven by BPOs. In fact, I want to show you a couple of charts here. First, on the BPO manpower growth projections until, this is the chart on exactly how much we derive in terms of revenues from the BPO sector. The U.S., American multinationals really taking up the lion's share of here.
Yes. So most of the BPOs cater to American companies, and a lot of the operators here are, in fact, American. Some of them are Indian, and they've taken quite a bigger slice of the pie. But the impact would be if the Trump presidency does impose some protectionist laws or changes, then the impact would be substantial.
Some of the firms that we've spoken to, though, like for instance SM, say that they're going to plow ahead with expansion plans because at the end of the day, wages here are a lot more competitive than in the U.S. and the free market will decide. American companies will, their priority is profitability. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I do share the same sentiment. At the end of the day, the American companies do derive a big chunk of their revenues outside of the U.S. So they could not be easily be convinced to move out of the Philippines and suddenly transfer jobs back to the U.S. So it's going to be very hard. There's a certain stickiness in terms of the job pool here because of the labor costs. So, it's that kind of softens the impact.
Here's one of the other charts I was telling you about. By 2022, we're hoping to hire 1.8 million workers just in the BPO sector alone. Massive growth. Of course, tangentially, all of the impact will be felt across a number of industries. Your latest report also said that there's been a shortage in construction workers, which is weighing down building activity nationwide. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I think this is the biggest issue that is facing the real estate industry today. In fact, I spoke to one of the bigger CBD developers in Metro Manila recently, and he said that in his estate, one of the projects that are being built, the project manager for that particular building went across the street to another development and asked their laborers to transfer to his project.
Offering higher wages?
Offering higher wages and offering to pay them daily. So that's how bad the situation is today in the construction industry.
What's driving the shortage?
It's just, we've never seen this kind of level of construction. Like we're building a lot of condos, malls, offices, hotels, etc. Not just in Metro Manila, but it's all over the country. And the fact that President Duterte will be pushing for more infrastructure projects in the coming years will further worsen the situation, unless if the government focuses on training. And that's what we sorely need today.
When we talk about the property sector, there's really two strands here, the commercial side of the story as well as the residential side. What we're hearing is that there's already a bit of a supply glut in the residential side of things. Could you talk us through that?
Yeah, so in the 5 major districts that we monitor, we've been seeing an uptick in vacancies. So in Makati, Fort Bonifacio, Ortigas, and so forth. There's just a lot of supply out there. The units that were sold during the peak back in 2012, they're now being delivered. There's a 4-year lag in construction. So they're being delivered, and there's just a lot of units out there that are now being leased out. So it's more challenging for an investor that bought a unit
Right.
4 years ago to lease out their units because there's a lot of inventory out there.
Very interesting. We're going to have to leave it there. Julius Guevara, Head of Research and Consultancy at Colliers. Thanks for your time today.
Thank you. Thank you very much.